Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Wonderful kirtan. Hello everyone, welcome to our Tuesday night Lotus Room program. We're so happy to have you here. So some of you are here for the first time, and we hope you have a nice experience. So the topic of tonight's class is 5 types of relationships that are mentioned in the Bhakti text. So we hope it will be something very relevant for all of us, and something that we'll walk out of here with some. I hope you'll walk out of here with some more, you can say, knowledge in your tank than you walked in. So when we talk about 5 types of relationships, first of all, the word relationship. And this class will be interactive, so don't be afraid to raise your hand and speak out. We want to hear from you as well.
I'm already afraid.
We try to make these, kind of like a bit informal, a little interactive. So when you hear the word relationship, what is some thoughts of the meaning of the word that come to your mind?
You have to have 2 people at least for a relationship.
2 people. So a relationship, something happens between 2 people. Okay, that's good.
Friendship.
Friendship. Yeah, that's important. That's an important relationship. You raise your hand?
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome.
Some kind of bond.
A bond.
Established so that you can, out of everyone, you can choose that person.
Yeah.
So there has to be something there, a bond.
Yeah, there's a bond. There's a connection.
That's a connection.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So different aspects of relationship. Anything else? So I heard a bond. I heard a connection. So we want to, when we have relationships, we want to form. Go ahead. Sacrifice. Wow, that's for some relationships we're willing to sacrifice.
For all the relationships.
All relationships. Oh, there's all of them involve sacrifice. Okay, we'll look at that. We'll go into different relationships and different level of commitments that there are with certain relationships that we have. So now with establishing relationships can happen at different levels. So we'll do a little exercise here today. So some of us here in this room do not know each other at all. We've never met. And so maybe we'll take a few minutes for you to maybe connect with someone and just establish a relationship. Say your name, where you're from, just a few things, and then we'll come back. So there's some people that know each other, so maybe try to go to someone you don't know. And you can do it starting now. You can make a group of
Supposed to be chatting with people. Detail? Okay.
Carmen and Robbie, maybe?
You run the store, right?
Oh, you have it. Okay.
Yeah, I bought
Maybe Robbie.
Kunti yes. But yeah, I'm hoping to get
maybe
new
we
ones.
can
I kept them here and I broke.
Yeah,
I
they
know
don't
a few
work
things
so
about
well.
you.
We can, there are other kinds of we don't have them right now. What are we meant to chat about anyway?
Just establish a connection. Nothing in particular, I guess.
What are you doing?
Well, I work in an after school program. Yeah, for kids.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's fun. I teach kids like board games.
What age are they?
From 4 to like 12, 11.
Wow. You say patience.
I guess. I don't know.
I find
Did you
kids
have
good.
to treat Jane?
I know. A lot of my peers feel that way too. But yeah, I like it. What about you? Are you in the temple full time?
Yeah, I say
Part of the process.
Oh, okay. What are you other at?
So in India.
You're in India. Oh, wow, that sounds lovely.
She went to
I wish I could. No, I haven't been to India yet. I want to get on the next retreat that the Bhakti Center runs.
Oh wow.
Not this
I think they
year.
go to Jaipur. Jaipur is one of my favorite.
Oh, Jaipur? Okay.
It's actually interesting.
I know the hotspots are like Mayapur and
Yeah.
what is the special?
She had a traveling
in Jaipur.
Jaipur is in
She came
Rajasthan.
to
It's
Dominican
fairly
Republic.
near Vrindavan.
Oh, okay.
It's about 8 hours
6 months
drive
pregnant
away.
and had
Oh, okay.
It's very sweet, very beautiful.
And then she brought me back and I spent the first 5 years of my life there.
So in Vrindavan, we have the oldest, some of the oldest Krishna temples.
Dominican
Yes.
Yeah. My parents were
When
Campu.
Islam to India, they sent a lot of those seeds into the temple.
Yes.
My mother had one of those.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, when I was reading about the Torah religion, I saw that they were
Yes. Yeah.
it's good to go to India once.
Mountainous, because Dominican Republic is a mountainous.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can go, if you're going to stay for a long time, you can go without a plan, but you have to be kind of very...
My grandmother, she's still alive. She's here. My
But
father.
if you go with a plan, it's always nice. And if you go with someone who can show you
actually had my father's mother had
That's
10
all.
kids, and my mother's
Which I
father
don't
had
know,
20
the
kids.
retreat.
He had 2 wives, like they did it in Korea. And those days,
I'm fairly new.
one family,
I'm
one
fairly new to all this.
Pueblo,
I've been doing it for,
another family.
I guess I started in early February, so like 5-6 months.
You first came to the Bhakti Center, you first came.
Yeah, when I first came here. To this exact program, actually. Yeah. But I'm catching up for all my lost time. Well, that's the end.
Okay. So, it looks like everyone established some friendships in a few minutes. So it's interesting because as sentient beings, we establish relationships. And what just happened with most of you, some friendship was established. That's one level of relationship. So in the Vedic texts, which are the books that we study, which I'm sure all of you have come in contact with, primarily in the Bhagavad Gita. It's one of my favorite books. Actually, the book that brought me here. And it mentions something right in the introduction, that there's 5 types of relationships. And these relationships, I'll tell you the Sanskrit word and then the English translation of that word. But before I do that, I'll just give a dictionary. We heard some meanings from all of you of what relationship means to you, what it brings up when you think about it. So according to Miss or Mr., I guess it's Miss Merriam-Webster or Mrs. Merriam-Webster. Maybe she's a Mrs. Famous dictionary. So relationship is a state of being related or interrelated. The relationship connecting of binding participants, I mentioned some bond, such as kinship, or a specific instance of type of kinship, or a state of affairs existing between those having relations or dealings. So, different meanings of relationships. So, in the Vedic text, describes 5 types of relationships. The first type is known as Santa, which means neutral. And we'll dive a little deeper into each one. But for now, I'll just tell you the different types. And it is one known as Dasya, which means servitorship, to render some service. Then there's another relationship known as Sakya, which means friendship. And then there's one known as Vatsalya, which is a parental relationship. And then Madhurya, which means conjugal relationship. So, or having a significant other, like that. So we can go a little deeper into these relationships. So Santa, hey, how you doing? Welcome. Santa means neutral. So when you hear the word neutral, what does it bring up? Any thoughts? Acquaintances. Okay, that's a good one.
Either good or bad.
Good or bad?
Neither.
Neither good or bad. Yeah, kind of just there, existing. Passive, yes. Okay, that's good. Anything else?
No commitment.
No commitment. Yes. That's one of the things of a neutral relationship. There's no commitment. Kind of, yeah, I see you. But that's about it. Don't ask me to do anything for you, because I won't do it. Any other thoughts? Okay, yeah, so you all brought up very good points. So it's a passive state, a passive relationship. Like for example, this mic stand. It's a neutral relationship. The mic stand won't bake me a cake. It won't tell me it loves me. It won't, do anything for me. It's a passive state. Or you can say this chair. I mean, it's supporting me. It's giving me comfort. But other than that, really won't do anything for me. There's no commitment. The chair actually has had many people sit on it before me. So it's not just committed to me. Or you can say, like when you're in the subway and you kind of make eye contact with someone, and it's a little awkward for a moment. You're kind of like, and you can feel their energy, and it's like, okay, that's just a neutral relationship. Nothing is established. There's no connection. There's a little bit of a connection, but other than that, there's no commitment, as Karma mentioned. So that's a relationship in the Santa stage. So there's no real substance there. It's kind of just very non-committal, neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It just is what it is. Then the next relationship, you say the next step up. And as we're going through these different relationships, each next step up actually contains the previous step within it as well. So you'll see progressively, I'll show you how it all comes together. Dasya means servitorship. So a relation of servitorship. What does that bring up when you hear servitorship?
Like a parent. Parent serves.
Serves, okay. That's good. Yeah, that one is service. But that will also come a little later. The relationship between a parent and a child when we go to Vatsalya. But just in that, we're just looking at specific, just servitorship. Just some service that someone may render, or you can think of some service that you get. Maybe you go to your favorite coffee shop, or they just do some service for you. It isn't necessarily a friendship, or there may be a friendship, but it's just they're rendering a service. Or the doorman comes somewhere, he opens the door for you. Now it's in the active state. They're actually doing something. Or the doorman or the person at your favorite coffee shop does something for you. Or someone holds the door open for you, or you drops a bag and someone says, hey, look, you left this. So they're rendering some service. Some service is there. Now they've gone into the active state. So there's a little more commitment there. You have a point? So there's a little more commitment there. But still it could go deeper. So now the next level is when there's a friendship. So this is known as Sakya. So what are some things that you can notice in a relationship of friendship? Kindness. Exchange. Yeah, so now there's a more meaningful exchange. An attachment, yes. So on this level, yes, we start seeing there's a little more attachment, some more commitment there. Like you start to feel like this person is a part of me, like I got their back. Like the doorman is kind of like, yeah, he opens the door for me, but do or die, I'm going to take care of myself. That was a good one. Friendship. Sharing. Okay, yeah. There's more of a tendency to kind of open your mind and reveal more things. This person knows me.
Really
Gets me, yes. That's a good one. It's kind of like in between friends. Sometimes you can look at a friend and you don't even have to say anything. It's kind of like there's just like that little telepathic communication. Because, yes, like you're saying, there's been a more deeper relationship established. So it's this person knows me. A friend once you have it on that friendship level, likes and dislikes, attitudes, moods, you start to really understand your friend, and different ways they act. So this is a little more deeper level of relationship, than just the microphone or the doorman or the person making your tea or latte or bubble tea or whatever you like to drink. And then we go to a little deeper relationship, which is vatsalya, parental relationship. And what are some things that come up in a parental, you can say, relationship? Responsibility, yes, a much deeper responsibility. Instinct, like motherly instinct, yeah. Yeah, we can see this. Sometimes it's said that, like a little kind of thing, you're coughing, or if you do something, they say like your mother's thinking about you or something like that. There's that intimate connection, especially we can see between the mother and the child. In the Vedic texts, it mentions that the closest relationship to a spiritual one is actually between the mother and the child. It's very profound, because imagine for 9 months that person is being formed within, one person is being formed within that other person. So that's a pretty intimate relationship. Any more things that come up in a parental, you said, ideas? Unconditional love. Yes, so this is a big one. This is where we start seeing that. Because as friends, we may say, okay, like, hey, can you wash my car? Sure, if you do this for me. But of course, there could be some unconditional, but really in the parental relationship, we see that is unconditional. Because that baby, changing their diaper, feeding them, taking care of them, taking them to school, taking them to all different types of classes, what do you get in return? Unconditional. So what the point is, it's unconditional, meaning the mother isn't doing that for the child, expecting that the child is going to do something in return. So that's the unconditional side. Whereas a friend, you may say, hey, hey, I had your back last week, man. Come on, I spotted you those $5 for that water. I mean, come on, you gotta get it back. The mom, the parents know, okay, this is just gonna, okay, here you go. Not expecting anything in return, unconditional. So yeah, that's something we see a little deeper. Yeah.
When it said responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility. Yeah.
Right, because and just piggybacking on that, because the Lord entrusted those persons to be the vessel for those persons, and ultimately they're His children. So it's a very big responsibility.
Yeah, that parental relationship, that soul, say that person becomes fully dependent on you.
And to elaborate on the responsibility issue, to be able to respond to those needs, more so to the needs that the child cannot express.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, now that's when a big sacrifice comes, like Matanga had mentioned in the beginning, sacrifice. In a parental relationship, there's a ton of sacrifice. Sleepless nights. I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm on the trajectory, but maybe some of you, maybe Carmen, you have 5 grandkids. We were discussing, when we were making friends earlier. She has 2 children, 5 grandkids. So maybe you can explain. You can give us a little. How was it raising the children?
It was interesting.
Interesting.
But I was talking about being able to respond to those needs that the child cannot express. The child can't talk yet. They have needs.
Yeah.
One time, like, they of my kids crying, and I changed the diaper, I do this, I do that, everything, and still crying. And so I gotta figure it out. What is it that they need? You know, why are they crying?
And we can't just walk away from that, right?
No, the crying is, it does something to the instinct. It gets you upset. Why are they crying? If somebody else, let them cry. Maybe she'll cry it out. But the mother will like, no, you can't let her cry. Something's going on. If she's crying, it's for a reason. They can't express it, what it is, and so you gotta.
So you see, yeah. So
to
this.
figure out what they need, and also even as teenagers to figure out what they need because they want the wrong things. To figure out what this is what they want, but this is what they need.
So even a more deeper, yeah.
As they grow older, you're still looking out for what their needs, and have to separate them from, what they actually need. Respond to that need rather than I want this and I want that.
Yeah, and then, I don't know if anybody ever had. I remember when I was in home economics, they'll give you a baby. Did anybody have that here? Yeah, had that experience. They would give you like a kind of
robot baby.
Yeah, like a robot baby, and then the baby would cry, and they would give you all the things, diapers and bottle, and you would have to figure out what was wrong with the baby. They're crying, so you try to feed it, you change the diaper, and like that. Yeah. So like I mentioned, you have to develop this deeper instinct to connect with this soul. And so that's nice. So that's on the Vatsalya, that's the parental, and then we have one even deeper, even more intimate, and this is known as Madhurya. Madhurya, which means conjugal. So this means then with a partner. So what are some thoughts that come up with that type of relationship? Amira, that's very good. My guru, I remember one of my friends had gotten married, and he sent them a message, a little kind of just advice. And they said that marriage, coming together with a partner, is like having instant feedback. You do something, they'll let you know right there and then. That's a good one, Amira. Any other thoughts? Selfish? Selflessness. All selflessness, yeah. Yeah, kind of having to put the needs of another individual even before yourself sometimes. Selflessness, yeah. Love, yeah. Symbiotic.
It can become symbiotic.
Yeah. Want it to become symbiotic, meaning something that's working very nicely together.
Isn't that like when one party benefits one? Symbiotic connection.
It's parasitic.
Parasitical, yes. It could be that way, but I guess we're examining what thoughts it comes up when we talk about that type of relationship. You had one more? Growth. Okay, yeah, and it involves some growth, for sure. Growing together, you mean? Yes. So we have to grow together, you could say. But this mirroring, I really like that point you made, because now you're looking at another individual that's going to let you know when you're not on track.
Or you see yourself in them, so sometimes whatever they do or whatever triggers you, whatever they do to trigger you, that's within you. So you don't necessarily have to point it out. It can just be
Just being there with, so that's good. So it's the most intimate relationship out of all the ones we said. Now, of course, parental relationship it goes to a certain point. Because with your spouse, there'll be things that, or with a partner, that they'll know about you that your parents will never know. That you'll never tell your parents. Right? So that's why we say it's more intimate. You'll know the partner inside and out. So this is a thing in this relationship. So you'll know more about this person than anyone else, any other relationship in their life. It's the most intense emotionally. And maybe some can attest to that, how it can be a real roller coaster, very intense. So this relationship actually though, the Madhurya, once we come to that, it contains all the other relationships within it. You can be sometimes neutral. You can be serving the person. You're a friend to the person. You feel protective over them. Parental. And then, of course, the intimate side. So that's the 5 types of relationships. We have Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Neutral, servitorship, friendship, parental, and conjugal. So we'll do a little exercise. We're going to examine this man. This man is let's say he's a lawyer. And so I'm going to say different scenarios and then we can identify what type of relationship that is. So the lawyer wakes up in the morning and he leaves his apartment on Central Park South. Walks out of his apartment, Central Park South, so it means he has a doorman there. Open the door for him. So what kind of relationship is he just had there?
The second one.
Servitorship, yeah. Good. He has his notes. Then the lawyer, he's walking to the office, going to work, and he remembers, what am I going to have for lunch today? So he messages his wife, what's for lunch? What kind of relationship is there? I mean, it's pretty obvious, but conjugal, yes. So he gets to the workspace, and then he's joking with the other lawyers, and they're talking about their cases. What kind of relationship? Friendship. Okay. And then he gets on the subway, and he's gonna go meet his wife for lunch, and then just some person he looks at, they look at each other, make eye contact, and he never sees him again. Neutral. And then he gets home at the end of the day, after a long day of work, and his son gets on his back, wants to ride him like a horse. Yeah, parental. So we can examine in our life how these different 5 relationships are constantly happening around us and to us. So relationships are an important part of life, and I dare to say the most important thing in our life. And I'll make my case. If I was, your name? Kristen, if I was to say, Kristen, I have $1 billion for you. Thank you. Very kind of you, Gopal. Just give me $1 billion like that. But then I tell you, Kristen, I'll give you this $1 billion, but you'll be in the world by yourself. What would you say then?
It's gonna be useless, but thank you still.
It'll be useless. Yes. It'll be useless. Because actually what's valuable is the relationships that we have. And so that was just an example to point that out. Because even if you have all the money in the world, if you don't have relationships, whether with your doorman, whether with the strangers on the subway, whether with a friend, whether with your parents, whether with a significant other, then that money is useless. And then of course, we can look a little deeper to what is the ultimate connection or relationship that we can have. And so the Vedas, they say this really amazing aphorism, a few words by a great saint. His name, he came in the Renaissance period actually. He was born in 1486. He's actually said to be non-different in the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He said, Prema Pumarto Mahan. Prema Pumarto Mahan. That the ultimate goal of life is to develop our love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we chant this mantra, actually that's what we're doing. We're developing a relationship. Hare means the energy of divine love. Krishna is the name of the Supreme Person. He is the most attractive. And Rama means the reservoir of pleasure. So by chanting this mantra, actually we're making that connection. We're making a deep relationship. Starting to develop it. So in the initial stages, yeah, it's kind of just like, okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just some words. It's kind of like, yeah, really nothing there. But then we'll see, as we progress in the chanting of the mantra, that we'll enter deeper into connecting with the self of ourself, making a deep connection. And it's said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we all have an intimate relationship with Him. And because we're all intimately related with Him, when we make that connection, it's actually easier for us to connect with each other as well. And the analogy that's commonly given is like the spokes on a wheel. So you have a wheel and the hub. All the spokes are connected to the hub. So as soon as we understand that hub, then we can easily connect with any of the spokes. So the Vedas also tell us that labha suthur labham idam bahu sambhavante manusyam artadham anityam api hadira tunam yatetana patit anumritu yava nishrayasaya vishaya kalusavatasya. What are you saying there, Gopal? This is a verse from what's known as the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it says that now that we've come to this rare human form of life, take advantage to develop a relationship with the Supreme Being. Because this is actually the greatest fortune. Not the $1 billion in an empty world, but to develop a relationship, real love for the Supreme Being, and in turn, developing real love for all of His creation as well. And then being intimately connected also with those who are striving to do the same. So this is the point of Sangha, of a community, spiritual community, is that we come together to help each other, encourage each other, and develop relationships to help us come closer to the Supreme. So, that is all to let us know that our real wealth, our real value is to develop relationships, especially to develop relationship with the Supreme Being. So we can do good to put a little attention there. I know life is busy. We have, bills and so many things pressing. But when we take that time to actually put some effort in the things that we consider more valuable than money, as we all agree, as having $1 billion in a world by ourselves, is that a desirable thing? No. So we can see that money isn't the most valuable thing. So we can take a little time to put a little energy there to develop nice relationships. So does anybody have any reflections? A reflection is something that you heard in the class. You just want to speak again for the benefit of all of us, or a question? Yes?
Can you review what you said about Hare Krishna?
Yes, so Hare means the energy of divine love. Krishna is a name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means all attractive. Krishna is an all attractive person. And Rama means the reservoir of pleasure. So, being souls, we're all seeking pleasure. So why don't we not go to the source of all pleasure? No problem. And your name?
Johnny.
Johnny. Nice to meet you, Johnny. I'm Gopal, beach protector of the cows. Thank you for coming. Any other questions, reflections?
What are you're talking about relationships. What are your thoughts on isolating from people but still connecting with Krishna? Is that desirable or is that undesirable?
Well,
Like a hermit chanting
in the
Maha mantra or something.
So I can say what it says in one of the verses. One of the wisdom texts mentions that association with others who are on the path is most essential, even when one reaches perfection. Why? Because the ultimate goal is, if we're going to, you can say, because the destination would be to be in a place where the soul can actually be the soul. And when I say that, the Bhakti text describe that the soul is eternal, it's full of bliss, and it's full of knowledge. And there's a place where eternally, or a dimension that we're eternally with other souls who are also full of bliss, full of knowledge, and eternal. So at some point we'll have to learn to live with others.
Why this order?
So it's mentioned in one of the Vedic texts, this particular 16-word, 32-syllable mantra. So just like when baking a cake, you mix all the ingredients first, and then you put it in the oven, and the cake will bake. But now let's say we try to do it in a different order. Let's say we want to put the flour and then put that in the oven, and then after half an hour try to add water to it and sugar, and we might just make a mess. So it's kind of like if you go to a doctor will prescribe you, hey, we have these antibiotics. The first day you take 2 pills, and then you just take 1 pill a day after that. So there's a prescription. There's a methodology for the process. It's spiritual science. Because if you were to say, let's say, I just want to take all 10 pills the first day, and I should be cured. but actually it may not be good for you. So this particular mantra has been prescribed in this order.
So I read that in the original, I forgot the name of the original text, where Hare Krishna was in. It was actually first, I don't know how true this is, but it was Hare Rama, then Krishna was on the second verse. But it doesn't explain why and when the Krishna movement started, then they made it Krishna, Hare Krishna, but it doesn't explain why that happened.
Well, it's mentioned in this particular order in the Kali Santarana Upanishad. So this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, this particular order, yeah.
But then there was a text before that had it the other way around.
I'm not aware of that, but maybe yeah, we can. I'm open to looking and seeing that. One here and two.
That was actually answered my question. I was asked where the order comes from,
Yeah.
but I had a different question, which was, I know that the 5 relationships are all like transcendental, like relationships we're supposed to have with God in Vaikuntha. But how does one have a transcendental neutral relationship? That feels.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, what Brian's bringing up is that, it's like we mentioned about the 5 relationships. So, in the spiritual dimension, you can say that that is the ultimate fulfillment of these relationships. So he was asking, how does one have a relationship in a neutral stage? So, typically, transcendentalists don't go for that type of relationship. It's kind of like, there's one thing where you can be, in the neutral stage, there's something like being in the light. So the all-pervasive light, Brahman. So it's a place where there's bliss, no doubt, but there's no variety. So therefore, for a personalist, for being, spiritual individuals that want to seek pleasure, it says that variety is the mother of enjoyment. That's why Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors. I'm sure in the spiritual world, there's millions of flavors. So, yeah, generally, that's not one that's so desirable. I mean, you can say, yeah, it's just neutral. It's kind of like, it's neither good nor bad. It's kind of just like, it's there.
This is like a bhakti relationship, really.
No, definitely. Usually, when we hear bhakti relationship, it starts from dasya and up. Bhakti means the art of eternal love, servitor. Actually, you usually hear that as well. Serving, devotional service. It starts from there.
I was just going to say, I think neutral relationships are kind of beautiful because you don't expect anything from anyone. It's just in that moment that you have the connection. And it can be inspiring too, just like the moment of the relationship. And it's done.
Yeah, kind of like being present. And then we could say, is it really satisfying though, the heart fully? It's kind of like you mentioned, it's very temporary. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. It's very temporary. So then it kind of leaves us with a longing for something more, a deeper connection, because that's actually ultimately that's what we're longing for, is a very deep connection. So
like the ultimate one.
exactly.
It's like